There's insanity in the control room.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
It's like a Sharknado, except with poop.
You know what time it is. Around the nation. Everybody. Monday! Welcome back, or I should say, you should probably welcome me back because, you know, I've been gone since Thursday. All right, anyway. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning into the show. We got a good one today. So, we have a lot of fun here. Yes, we have a couple of Trump stories. I know, ridiculous. We've got Jim Jordan doing some fun projection. Or, well, not really fun, but yeah, you know how it is. We got Karen. We've got a KKKaren on the list. Let me tell you what. That story, wow. Clearest cut case of just absolute racism that I've ever seen. And it gets more fun. And then we have the manhunt for the Crumbleys. So I have not talked about the school shooting in Oxford, Michigan. I will be talking about this today. So, yeah. That's interesting because it turns out a lot of stuff happened over the weekend. And, yeah. Important stuff. So, let's do it. We got a fun show today. Good stuff. Interesting topics. And let's do it. But before we do, please like and share the stream. It's important that you do so. Tabsib, thank you for resubbing for a month with Prime. Appreciate that. Ms. Frazzled, thank you for resubbing for a month at Tier 1. Appreciate that as well. All right. Let's do it. Jump in. All right. Apparently, former President Donald Trump accidentally insulted his own supporters. This is not a surprise. He did so on Saturday. Now, in a statement, not a tweet because he's banned on Twitter, in a statement that was typed out and supposedly checked for grammar, apparently not so much, he wrote this. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't massive election fraud in the 2020 presidential election is either very stupid or very corrupt. Now, look, as read, that statement, 100% correct. True. Very, very true. Look, claims of widespread voter fraud during the 2020 election, as I've shown you countless times, are not true. It's all bullshit. It's all fake news. Didn't actually happen. No massive voter fraud. Now, that said, there were instances of voter fraud. I've talked about them here. And ironically, they usually turned out to be Trump voters, some that have voted twice at different stations or even in the same place, or had also used their dead relatives to try to vote a second time. Oops. Even with that, even with the amount of voter fraud that was found, it was nowhere near enough to affect the outcome of an election. Again, we're talking about infinitesimally small amount of in-person voter fraud. So, as well as, of course, mail-in voter fraud, even lower. And so, and here's the thing, too. People were caught doing it because we have systems in place that catch the fraud already. So, yes, our system for catching voter fraud does work. It's very effective, and that means our elections are fairly secure. Now, whether they're effective at affecting change or are even democratic, well, you know, we can have a conversation about that one. But, you know, and again, I talk about that because we have, you know, gerrymandering. We only have two viable political parties to choose from. And in a lot of economic issues, they seem to be, especially in issues of corporate power, they seem to be pretty well aligned. But secure? Yes, it is secure. And again, look, as I've addressed in other segments, a population that is pretty apathetic about voting, as we are in this country, I mean, we have low levels. Like sad, pathetic, crappy low levels of voting in this country. Just super low, right? If you have a population that is that apathetic about voting, it turns out they're not really all interested in risking everything to vote twice. Yes. Yes. Who knew? Who could have thought? Who would have thunk it? But as far as Trump goes, obviously, this didn't seem to be what he was going for. The doesn't and the wasn't effectively cancel each other out. Does that count as cancel culture? I found it. I found the real cancel culture that's going on. Trump canceling himself. Now, the best thing about this is that, as I mentioned, this is not even a case of randomly firing off a tweet. We've all done this before. Oops, oh no, that's not what I meant. Delete the tweet, get rid of it. And then type it out, you know, what I actually wanted to say. No. That's not it. As we mentioned, Donald Trump's banned off Twitter. No, what this is that this was, I mean, this is effectively a press release. It's a statement sent to the press from Donald Trump, former President Trump. Now, my question is, do you not have, I don't know, people that are willing or able to check this out to make sure that you haven't said dumb things like this? And this is not like the stereotypical dumb Trump things, but like just to check to see if you have your grammar right. Is there not a process? And if not, which there doesn't seem to be, should there not be a process? Shouldn't be somebody checking Trump to be like, hey, what are you doing? You might want to change that. Or you know what? Why don't we change that for you to make sure you don't accidentally insult all your supporters who are probably honestly too dumb to even realize that they're being insulted. That's embarrassing, man. And again, this is coming from someone who, again, I think too fast. And when I think too fast and I'm typing out I'm banging out tweets, right? I forget words. I forget the greatest words, the best words. So I miss words in tweets all the time. And that is embarrassing. And sometimes those words provide, crucial context. And yes, sometimes it's just embarrassing. But you would think, I'm just a random YouTuber. You would think that a former president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, would have someone there to check to make sure he doesn't do stupid things like this. Again, it's not like he's firing off a tweet. And again, I don't even mention fact checking because they would never do that anyway, because if they were to fact check Donald Trump, then he'd never put out a statement because everything would be wrong. And so, but just at least trying to make it so that your lies sound coherent and not actually making the case for everyone else, the other side. But I unfortunately, of course, I know that might be too much to ask for this very stable genius.
And then they say, "Is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person."
Smart person. The smartest person.
Big massive dumps.
Okay. All right. That's fun, but, let's go to something a little bit more serious. Is grammar be best? Be best! Okay. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. God. They say it's a difficult test, but I aced it. It was very, very hard. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can pass that test, let me tell you. Okay. I could just sit here and do a terrible Trump impression all day, but I actually have news. After the fun stories, of course. Former President Donald Trump believes that he is... Hey, wait a minute. Get back here. Get back here. What are you doing?
There's insanity in the control room.
Here I am talking about... Now, again, if I were, I don't know, President of the United States, if I'm President of the United States, I could actually have someone, or former president, not push the wrong button. But I pushed the wrong button. I did. Okay. Let's try this again. Insanity. You know what?
Who's got a hammer?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh, ridiculousness. Let's do it. The former President Donald Trump believes that he is untouchable. And he would be right. On Sunday, the twice impeached, likely 2024 Republican candidate, I know, bragged about obstructing justice, about doing crime. Take a look.
Don't forget, I fired Comey. Had I not fired Comey, you might not be talking to me right now about a beautiful book of 4 years at the White House. If I didn't fire Comey, they were looking to take down the President of the United States. If I didn't fire him, I don't think I could have survived if I didn't fire him, because it was like a hornet's nest. When I fired him, they all went crazy.
I don't think I could have survived if I didn't fire him. Now, that means he says, yes, I fired James Comey because they were doing an investigation into me and I wanted to stop the investigation. That's it. I did it. Of course I did it. I fired Comey to cover my ass. And then, guess what, idiots? I got away with it. I got away with it. You guys are suckers. I broke the law, and I just got away with it. That's Donald Trump. Now, you might ask, okay, how do you break the law, Jeff? Seriously. Obstruction of justice. Yes, literally a law. Look, here's the thing. Y'all remember the Mueller report. I know, right? Oh, nobody cares about the Mueller, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's the thing. Special Counsel Robert Mueller, when he did his report, he found 10 examples of obstruction of justice. This one included, by the way, where he admitted that he fired James Comey. Others of when he, of course, asked Comey to fire Michael Flynn, called Dr. McGahn to have him call the acting attorney general and have him claim the special counsel. Mueller had a conflict of interest and should be fired, should be removed. Anything to get Mueller removed and the investigation stopped. He also, got Corey Lewandowski. And this is funny. Corey Lewandowski, he tried to get Lewandowski to be a messenger, Trump did, to get Jeff Sessions to call the investigation into Donald Trump. Very unfair, very, very unfair. Donald Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. This is him talking through Jeff Sessions, apparently. Donald Trump did nothing wrong, and so you shouldn't be looking into him. You should really stop. You should stop. You shouldn't do that. Now, here's the thing. Corey Lewandowski look, obviously he was a gigantic, a very, very loyal Trump, official inside the administration. Lewandowski's like, no, I ain't touching this one. Okay, I'm just hands off. I'm just gonna hand this out to someone else. They can go and talk to Mr. Sessions. That guy wouldn't even do it. This is Rick Dearborn. Rick Dearborn's like, no, I'm not gonna do this on behalf of the president and risk helping to obstruct an investigation that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Donald Trump also tried hiding emails related to the infamous Trump Tower meeting. He also instructed counsel Don McGahn to deny the president had wanted the special counsel removed after the press learned about it. He also used his public platform to try to intimidate Michael Cohen. Once he began to cooperate with the investigation, beforehand, he's like, oh, he'll never flip. Michael Cohen, he will never flip. Stay strong, Michael. And then after he flips, he's like, what a rat. Terrible rat. And again, 10 instances in this were in the report. And so now the final Mueller report, of course, was, again, incredibly disappointing. They didn't even look at whether or not Trump broke the law during the 2016 election, because Mueller followed the Office of Legal Counsel's opinion that the president couldn't be indicted while in office. Now, Mueller investigated him, but only kind of, but not really. And then, of course, refused to indict him, as I mentioned. And now you have the current Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who refuses to indict him now that he's out of office. And so here's Donald Trump saying, I can admit to doing all these crimes because I can do anything and nobody's going to come for me. Nobody's going to ever hold me accountable. Why? I'm untouchable because I own the Republican Party. The Republican base worships me. They destroy everyone who I go after. If I tweet, I'm sorry, he can't tweet because he's banned off Twitter. But if I say, go after somebody in the Republican Party, well, people will go after him or her. And so the politicians and the Republican side, they fear him. And the Democrats are so incredibly weak. They're just weak. And the answer, and so I'm going to tell you here what Trump is saying. Trump is saying, I broke the law, I obstructed justice, I encouraged a Capitol insurrection, I did all of this. Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to do anything about it? No. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to brag because I can. Because you're not going to do a goddamn thing. And that's it. And that's it. So, and of course, the bad thing about this, there's a lot that's bad about this. For one, he's emboldened. He'll just do more. If he ever gets back into power, which he could, he certainly could, he will absolutely be emboldened to do more crime, more out in the open. And that's it. Look, you thought his first term was bad, and it was. Well, if he runs in 2024, which I'm starting to believe is more likely, well, then watch out, because he could still win. Now, of course, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But the fact is, there's been no consequences, zero consequences for everything that Trump had pulled in office. Now, the other factor is the fact that nobody, and there's this ridiculous precedent that has come from basically every single president and not holding any president accountable for any crimes they may have done. And it goes back, of course, to Reagan and probably beforehand. I mean, Reagan literally sold weapons to Iran. Violated law. No, they didn't hold him accountable at all. And so, of course, they don't hold him accountable. Nobody held Obama accountable for using the drone program to bomb civilians. Nobody held Donald Trump accountable for all this stuff. Plus, having doing airstrikes and drone strikes on even more civilians than the Obama administration. And so here we have presidents constantly doing war crimes. Yes, war crimes, never being held accountable. And of course, other crimes, obstruction of justice, and all this other stuff, inciting insurrection. Nobody gets held accountable. Nobody gets held accountable at all. And that's the problem. And so here's the thing. They've essentially created through this, the predecessors, the idea of a lawless president. And that's it. And Donald Trump, of course, took advantage of that. And he still is taking advantage of that. Because no one is holding him accountable. Now, here's the irony about this. Here's the irony. Now, obviously, Donald Trump's not president anymore. We have Joe Biden. Joe Biden, and I say this, again, and this is a completely ironic statement by me, because I'm just going to argue that, wait a minute, now we have a president who's a Democrat who's not actually doing executive action, who's not actually doing the things that he has the power to do. And I mean that by there are executive actions that Joe Biden could take that could actually materially improve the lives of regular people. For example, student loan debt. He can cancel student loan debt. They're sitting in the memo right now. The education department, they admit, yeah, Biden is the only one. He has the authority to cancel student loan debt. That's it. He could also, by the way, look, reproductive rights are under assault in the Supreme Court right now. You know what Biden could do? He could start nominating some Supreme Court justices. He could pack the court, expand the court. Now, obviously, he needs Congress to do the filibuster and everything. But guess what? You could also pressure Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, and the rest who don't want to get rid of the filibuster to actually do it. I'm thinking that Joe Manchin and his daughter, for example, could be in a little bit of trouble if maybe they investigate her or even threaten an investigation. You might be able to get someone to play ball. Oh, but Jeff, that is so wrong. That is illegal. That is abusing your power. Are we having a conversation about that after everything I just said? With presidents getting away with doing the wrong thing, if they're actually going to do the right thing, then we might be able to, have the ends justify the means. Because nobody ever gets held accountable, or at least for any of the bad stuff that gets done. And so, again, they're not even trying to protect reproductive rights, guys. Women could lose the right to an abortion, to their own bodies. And it could go further. It could go further. Gay rights could be overturned. Obergefell. You don't think they're going to come after gay rights? You don't think they're going to come after birth control? Oh, yeah, of course they would. Of course. And so, yes, there are things that Joe Biden could do, but chooses not to. And it really does show you how weak and feckless the Democratic Party is in the face of actual fascism. But I guess it's just like we all said on the left. As soon as Donald Trump is removed, as soon as Donald Trump's out, libs were going to go back to brunch. And they did. And they're going to sit there and watch the same conditions that created Trump persist and lead to either Trump again or, even worse, a competent fascist. Don't say we didn't see this one coming. We absolutely did. All right. Moving on. Let's get away from the Trump. Representative Jim Jordan did a lot of projection over the weekend. During a Saturday interview with Newsmax host Sebastian Gorka, he compared the Democrats to slave-owning Nazis whom the Republican Party needs to defeat like they did in the past. Look.
Every third generation in this country has had to do something big. I mean, you think about the founders and what they did when they declared why we were going to be an independent country and what they had to overcome, the greatest military in the world. They did it. 3 generations later, Lincoln and the Americans then held the country together, got rid of the evil of slavery. 3 generations later, America defeated Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany, the evils that those 2 institutions represented, those countries represented, and we won this. The greatest generation won that war. And now here we are, 3 generations later, and the assault is from the radical left. We have to step forward and do our part like previous generations of Americans have done. I think we're up to the task. And again,
the assault is from the radical left. Oh, the radical left. An assault. Really? Bitch, we're trying to give you health care and free prescription drugs. Child care. We're trying to do universal child care. And dude's talking about like, oh, we need to defeat them. Their assault on the radical left. Oh, like Germany. They're like Germany and slavery. Oh, yes. Wait, are you kidding? No. Okay, you really do have to marvel about how they are able to twist historical facts in order to try to fit a narrative. In this case, basically saying all the evils that had happened in the past that were done by the far right, again, slavery, a conservative institution, okay? Fascism, conservative, far right, and all that stuff. And he's trying to project that onto other people, onto the left. It's insane. It's amazing. But look, the modern left, understand that we're generally anti-slavery, obviously, anti-fascist, Antifa, anti-imperialist, anti-authoritarian. The left has actually been the biggest force for freedom in this world. Freedom of and from religion, freedom of speech, freedom to love who you want, financial freedom, and also very important, of course, civil rights. Isn't it funny? Like, oh, yeah, what do you mean left believes in freedom of speech? You don't believe in freedom of speech. You had cancel culture. Freedom of speech basically means that the government will not imprison you for things that you say. And of course, there's limits on that, like, for example, making terroristic threats. Freedom of speech, I'm sorry, that doesn't protect you from getting backlash on Twitter if you say something racist or Nazi-ish. So, no. Freedom of speech does not protect you from freedom from consequences or freedom to get challenged on your terrible wrong ideas. But again, when you look at every single big issue, the left is generally on the correct side. And it's factual. And that's it. And again, when the right wing, and this is, see, here's the thing. When the right wing is persuaded to adopt those positions, I think that's great. I think we should have more of that. I think that's great. I mean, think about it this way. So, look, society evolves. Society, what happens with society? As they progress, I mean, that's the word, progress. They progress, and they get more left. So here's the thing. You don't see, except with some examples that I've shown you in the past, you generally don't see a lot of conservatives, yes, some, you don't see a lot of them talking about how slavery is amazing and we should bring it back. Again, some will definitely talk about that, and I've shown you that. But it's a minority point of view among the American people. Even Americans who consider themselves conservatives, they're actually pretty liberal on a lot of issues, at least compared to where they used to be in the past in this country. Because guess what? As time changes, attitudes are different. The successive generations are more progressive, and we're actually a progressive country. For example, homosexuality, right? Do you know that in the 1990s, 38% of American conservatives thought being gay was acceptable? That's a really, really low number. Now, among Democrats, it was around 54%. So now, obviously, today, it's in the high 80s for Democrats. Now, among Republicans and Republican leaners, it went up to 54%, saying that, yes, gay people should be accepted. Now, are those numbers anywhere where they should be? No, they should be In my view, they should be way, way higher. But 54%, that's the majority of Republicans, are like, yeah, gay people are fine. Totally fine. Society, gay people, great, great. We are in favor of people loving who they want to love. Now, that's actually the first time a majority of Republicans have said gay people should be accepted by society. And that, again, goes back to Pew Research surveys going back to 1994. 10 years ago, just 35% of Republicans held the view, a little different than the 38% who said this back in 94. Now, you know why? A couple of reasons. Number one, Obergefell. Obergefell legalized gay marriage. And that's actually fairly recent. So Obergefell made gay marriage legal. Conservatives saw that the society did not fall apart. Okay. And of course, what happened with conservative media? Well, that's a good question. Conservative media went from bashing gay people to another culture war issue, cancel culture, critical race theory. They went to, going after trans people. So, but generally they've stayed away from the gay issue because they're like, okay, gay people are here, we're fine. Country's fine, everything's fine, we accept gay people. That's one of them, right? So basically allowing gay marriage to be legal and gay people to be out and proud, and it normalized these, it normalized these groups, and everybody's fine with it. And everybody's more accepting of it, and that's good. Now, younger people also have to be more socially liberal, even as Republicans, and more accepting of these things. Even, for example, on cannabis, marijuana. So that's a good example to illustrate how we as a society are moving to the left. Even the Republican Party is moving to the left, at least when it comes to social issues. Economic issues, even Republicans support what Jim Jordan calls radical. And let me give you some of the examples on that. Taxing the rich. Now, a poll conducted by Data for Progress and Invest in America showed that 51% of Republicans, a slim majority, said that they are supportive of raising taxes on Americans earning more than $400,000 a year. That included 21% who said they strongly support and 30% who somewhat support the proposal. So, again, $400,000, not super rich, but rich. You're doing pretty good if you're making over $400,000 a year, I would think. Now, the survey also found that 52% of Republicans support increasing taxes on the top 1%. By limiting the expenses they're allowed to deduct from their tax bill, additionally, 52% of Republican voters said they support raising taxes on individuals who earn over $1 million per year through selling stocks and bonds. So some of that stuff, by the way, used to be in Build Back Better, but, and this is important, was stripped out by Republican politicians. And so Republican politicians don't necessarily reflect the economic policies that Republican voters are actually calling for. So that's pretty interesting. On wages, wages, there's a lot of Republicans that are actually against $15 minimum wage because, again, you have conservative media that's telling you, if you raise if you raise wages for workers, that's gonna cost you more. Oh no, that's gonna affect me. Yeah, it's gonna raise it like 10 cents if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. But again, conservative media, that's the gigantic conservative bubble. Even so, when it comes to raising the wage to $15 an hour, you ask Republicans, and it really is kind of, when you look at the different income levels, look, Democratic voters are pretty unanimous. Raise the wage to $15 an hour. But on Republicans, no surprise, lower income Republicans, 46%, are much more likely than middle, 23%, and upper income Republicans, 18%, to say they favor raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, even as most of those do not support it. On healthcare, majority of Republicans still support a public option. They do support allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drugs. On many of these issues, conservatives agree with the so-called left radical position. Now, the only thing here, as I keep alluding to, as I keep mentioning by name, the conservative media bubble, and of course, the culture war. It's the culture wars. And this is important to point out. All of that information to point out that Jim Jordan is engaging in culture war. He is rewriting history, and he's able to do this because conservative politicians and big money backers have done a lot. For example, the organizations supported by the Koch brothers, or Koch brother, the remaining one anyway, they have attacked education. They have attacked history, and they're still doing it now, again, with critical race theory. Now, the thing they've done with critical race theory is they've expanded that to mean anything that's related to civil rights for black people. They have also built their own echo chamber. And so they have, in the pursuit of viewership, Fox News, as well as profits, because they're all, multinational corporations. And again, you can also involve CNN, MSNBC, these large networks that are corporate as well. Why we call them corporate media. They want to keep their taxes low, and they want to keep, benefits for their workers low, and regulations pretty loose. And so they'll agree with the billionaire perspective and the corporate perspective over the perspective and the needs and the desires and the wants of the actual regular working person. And so that's the real big division here. And so class-wise, as far as economics are concerned, yeah, we do have a lot in common with the Republicans as far as to what we want. And the things that are different, they're only different because this group of people have been propagandized to so heavily and so effectively that they automatically take the side of giant multinational corporations that are actively screwing them over. And so part of that, of course, is to try to challenge conservative media and corporate media, their bubble, and get people into reality, and people into believing or into knowing how progressive this country and they actually are. So, but as I said, Jim Jordan is projecting onto the left what members of the far right have traditionally done. And again, as I've pointed out, most Americans are not members of the far right. They're really not. America is pretty progressive in our belief systems. But our system is so incredibly broken, our media is broken, and causes a lot of division, and we have been divided and conquered as workers, as a working class, by the few who want to hold on to their money, power, and privilege. People just like Jim Jordan. So, there's that. It is still legal to pay sub-living wages to the disabled community. Very, very true. Very true. All right. Let me take a couple of minute break, actually. We're going to come back. We got the KKKaren. It's a fun story. And, of course, the Crumbleys. I'm going to talk about them because interesting stuff happened. So we'll do that. Stay right here. Be back in a minute.
amazing.
There's insanity in the control room.
Welcome back to the show. I'm the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. I'm still getting used to the music breaks, so trying to figure it out, get everything nice and working, sounding good. But hey, thanks for sticking with me. All right, so let's see. I want to give a couple of shout outs here. For one, I've got some super chats here. Danko Bangle, of course, very, very kind. Garland still refuses to follow up the Mueller stuff. Yeah, I don't think he's going to, of course. PlayStation executive at Sony was recently fired and arrested for grooming minors. Yes, I read about that. It doesn't surprise me at all in the gaming industry. It really is. It really is just a toxic industry. Very, very bad. Not good at all. Let's see. The right still hates gay people. They're quiet because gay people are now socially accepted. No longer a group to be scapegoated. Look, I am going to say, like, when you look at the poll results, generally people are like, yeah, we don't care. We don't really care. We're fine with gay people. And again, yeah, there are certainly those who are, you're correct. There is the very social conservatives, the evangelicals, those who certainly do not like gay people and hate gay people and continue to scapegoat them. But I think it's a diminishing number, honestly. I think it's a diminishing number. And that's a good thing. All right. Anyway, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the number of people who accept gay people continue to rise on the Republican side. So that's good. That's very good. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's go to Twitch here. Spartacus DeVille, thank you for resubbing with Prime. Giving you the Bezos bucks because you have the most relaxing and soothing voice of all the leftist news bloggers. Keep telling me the bad news. Get palatable. I don't panic about the. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Wow. Yeah, I do have a pretty relaxing voice. I do have that. Appreciate that. Thank you, Spartacus DeVille. That's very, very kind of you. YouTube is apparently doing that for all channels. No dislike numbers. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've noticed that my dislikes have disappeared. Oh no. Oh no. Mitchell says I'm sorry. Jeff Waldorf meets James Stephanie Sterling. That would be a great program. That would be great. That would be great. They're an excellent, amazing gaming YouTuber. Holy crap. That would be more like me kind of fanboying a little bit. They do such great gaming content. It's fantastic. All right. So that's awesome. Let's see. Can content creators see dislikes? We can. We can. And there's a lot. Oh boy. And there's a lot. Okay. All right. Let's get back to stories. Is that it? That is not it. Did I do the wrong one? Might have done the wrong one. Insanity in the control room. Let me tell you. I'm just. What happens when I take too many days off? That's okay. An Ohio woman broke down in court after being sentenced to 6 months in prison. Now, the woman, Angela Baker, who was 43 years old, was convicted of 2 felony charges of ethnic intimidation. So now that's very, very rare that you see anybody get charged, arrested, charged, convicted of ethnic intimidation. So now this happened at a minor grocery store in 2020, where she was shouting racial slurs at black teenagers and then menacing them with her car. In fact, I've got video of this news report from last year. This is CBS affiliate WTOL 11. Look.
Hey, ma'am, how's it going? Not good.
Not good?
Yeah, I'm
You okay?
tired of these harassing me. Always walking past my car and all this harassing.
In the car is Angela Baker of Toledo. Oregon police say on Tuesday evening, 2 African-American males walked to the Meijer on South Wheeling Street to get some snacks. Baker in her car in the parking lot started to yell racially charged language towards them.
So I flip him off, and then he starts coming towards me.
Okay.
So I start my car up and go towards him. He runs.
Eventually, she took her car and she swerved at him, which led the young African males to think that they were going to get hit by her car.
Are you kidding?
Nope. Absolutely not.
When our crews interviewed her, she stated that she didn't have any problem with them other than the color of their skin. And we're not going to put up with that in our community, obviously.
Yeah, so total racist Karen. I left that last part in with the police officer. Like, well, obviously she had a problem with them just being black. Just in case that it's not clear that she's racist. Okay, so now that happened last year. Now she got sentenced. So at her sentencing hearing, she got a lecture from Lucas County Judge Lori Olander. So here's what she said. You were driving what the state of Ohio considers a deadly weapon, which is a car. You were in a running car. Those boys were on foot. You could have hit either of those boys, whether you wanted to or not, because you can't always control a deadly weapon. Now, this case is interesting as well because her lawyer argues that, well, no, she's not racist. She's mentally ill. Oh, okay. A lawyer for Baker, Adam Hauser, asked the court to order mental health treatment for the woman who had previously been diagnosed with manic bipolar and who had survived domestic violence and homelessness, which the court denied. Prosecutors said that they were sympathetic to Baker's previous struggles. That does not excuse her conduct. In fact, prosecutor Khaled Elwardani said this. I'm unaware of any mental health issues that end up in people being racist or doing racist things, such as what happened here. Did anybody remember Roseanne in the Ambien? Like, oh, Ambien made me say racist things. No, that's not how that works. Medication and mental illness does not make you racist. Now, the prosecutor said this as well. I understand that she's gone through some things in her life, but what she put the victims through is totally unwarranted. 100%. Now, look, as I said, having mental illness and going through difficult times doesn't make you racist. You know what makes you a racist? Being racist. Racist, turns out, people who are racist can also go through hard times. Who knew? Who knew? Now, during her sentencing, Baker broke down. Here's what she did, reportedly. On Thursday, according to the Toledo Blade, Baker raised her voice, broke down in tears, banged her hands against the table when given the chance to address the judge. Here's what she said, quote unquote, I'm being terrorized. I'm being terrorized. I'm being terrorized. Wow. She's the one being terrorized. Really? Really? Huh. Now, she also added, I'm sorry. Before I get to that, according to the Toledo Blade, the defendant asserted several times on Thursday that she believes that she has been harassed, threatened, and tormented by black people over an extended period of time. I wasn't out to kill them, she says. Okay, yeah, I said a stupid word. Who cares? Well, a lot of people care. That stupid word has been historically used to terrorize, harass, intimidate, and dehumanize black people. That's why. That's why it matters. That's why it matters. Now, look, maybe she had a bad experience with a black person or a few. That doesn't mean they're all the same. I mean, Think about it this way. She's obviously racist. Okay, well, if she's racist, does that mean all white people are racist? Does it mean we're all the same? No. No, it turns out people are people. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. People are people. There are good, people who do good things. There are people who do bad things, et cetera, et cetera. And so, again, when you're talking about the kids here, the teenagers who are doing nothing, but like they're out to get some snacks at the local Meijer. And yet, this crazy lady pulls up, this Karen, and she's like, oh, you N-words, always harassing me. And they're like, what are you talking about? Why? And then she almost hit them with their car. So that's horrible. Kids did absolutely nothing to deserve that. Nothing at all. Now, the boy's mother, Rebecca Velasquez, was there. And here's what she said about this. Quote, this happened a little after George Floyd was murdered. Racism is ignorant and should never exist. The color of your skin should never get you killed, hurt, or have you frightened. Let racism die, not our people. I don't think I could have put it any better than that. Wonderful, wonderful. As for KKKaren, it is noted that after she serves her time in prison, she will be put into Ohio Link, which is a transitional program for inmates, and given 5 years of probation. So, I mean, I guess as far as that is concerned, obviously the lady needs some help, some major help, and also needs to stop being racist. Okay, moving on. Last story here. Let's go to the Crumbleys. I immediately apologize. The sentence is 6 months, Grumpy Cat. 6 months in jail. All right. Over the weekend, the parents of the alleged Oxford, Michigan shooter, James and Jennifer Crumbley, were arrested after leading cops on a manhunt. Now, on Friday, they missed their scheduled arraignment on 4 charges of involuntary manslaughter for the actions of their son, Ethan Crumbley, who is being tried as an adult for murdering 4 people. So now, they're accused, the parents are, of purchasing the 6-hour semi-automatic pistol their son allegedly used in the mass shooting incident as an early Christmas present, and then ignoring the warning signs that he intended to carry out an attack. Now, those warning signs, those red flags, were everywhere. Everywhere. Now, early Saturday, police said that they found the couple on the first floor of an industrial or commercial building in Detroit, some 40 miles south of the Oxford area where they live. After somebody tipped police Friday night, their vehicle was nearby. They appear to be hiding in the building, Detroit Police Chief James White said during a news conference early on Saturday. White said that he didn't know their intentions, but that, quote, this isn't indicative of turning themselves in. Hiding in a warehouse. Yeah, no kidding. And also, withdrawing $4,000 from an ATM before disappearing and hiding in said warehouse, that seems to be another indication. Also, turning off their cell phones, that's something else that they did as well to try to hide from police. Weird. It's almost as if they were on the run because they might have done something wrong. Weird. Now, White added that somebody who let the couple into the building, into that warehouse, somebody let them in. That person could also be facing charges. And on Monday, that person was identified as Oakland County resident Andre Sikora. Sheriff Michael Bouchard and Detroit Police Chief James White said over the weekend 65-year-old could be charged if it was determined that he played a role in the disappearance of Ethan Crumbley's parents, Fox 2 Detroit reported. And this guy says, I didn't know they were, criminals. I don't even watch the news. They're just friends of mine. I didn't know anything. I didn't know there was a manhunt. I'm just going to let him in. Apparently they're, what? So wait, you're saying that they just show up and say, please hide me in a warehouse. And that didn't seem suspicious to you. That wasn't a little sus? Really? Interesting. Very interesting. Now, Sikora's attorney, Clarence Doss, said in a statement that his client hasn't been charged with a crime and that he voluntarily contacted police to provide information after learning of their arrest on December 4th. Doss also said that the artist shared a friendly relationship with the couple, but was unaware that they had been charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter each. And they have both pleaded not guilty. Interesting. So, okay. Hiding in an abandoned building from cops. That's what they were caught. After a manhunt. Now, the whole case, this whole case is something else. It really is. Reading about this, and knowing that it's happened in the same state, it really is just a fascinating example. Because here's the thing. This is one of the few times that a parent is actually being charged for the actions of their son. Now, the reason, of course, is you have a lot of red flags. The entire floor was covered with red flags about their son. A note Ethan had made during the day of the shooting contained a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," and included a drawing of a bullet with blood everywhere written above, according to Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald. Now, between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. The note had also said, "My life is useless and the world is dead," scrawled on it. So if this is not an example of someone going full Joker, a total Joker-fied, I don't know what is. Holy crap. Now the parents, and this is the thing, the parents were shown the drawing and said, your son's not right. There's something wrong with him. Please, for God's sake, get this boy into counseling. There is something wrong with him. Something wrong with him. But no, they decided not to. No, of course not. Now, what's funny is that here you have, I've done so many stories of like if it were a black kid. Generally, what the response is, arrest them, throw them in jail. I don't think that's the right decision to make. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but I am saying that in that situation, the black kid, oh, of course they're going to jail. The cops will arrest them out of class in a moment's notice. You get a white kid like this, they just let him go back to class. And by the way, the parents didn't even ask if there was a gun. They didn't inspect his backpack for it, even knowing that this kid apparently loved guns and wanted to shoot people with those guns. And not only that, but they had resisted taking their son out of the school for the day so that he could get counseling. Okay? And of course, what happened? Well, the parents left. The kid shot up the school. Killed 4 people. 4 people. They're dead. 7 people injured, including a teacher. They're dead. 4 people are dead. I mean, it's disgusting. Now, at his arraignment on Wednesday, Oakland County Sheriff's Lieutenant Tim Willis also said that police had found videos on Ethan's phone made by him the night before the incident, where he talked about shooting and killing students the next day. So he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to make these videos saying that I am going to do this horrible, heinous crime. Red flag, red alert. There's something going on here with this kid. And they didn't do anything. Investigators also found a journal in Ethan's backpack detailing his desire to shoot the school. include murdering students. So, and yet, the gun, with all these red flags, that gun was left in an unlocked drawer in the couple's bedroom. Knowing all of that, knowing all the signs and indications that, hey, maybe there's a problem here with this kid. Maybe we should get him some help. You know, mental health care, they always talk about this. The right does. Oh, we don't need gun control. We need mental health care. Mental health care. Well, here you go to a situation where they said, hey, you should get your son some mental health care, okay? Because he's not acting like a normal 15-year-old kid, okay? There's something wrong here. And they said, not only that, not only are we not going to do anything, but we're also just going to leave the gun for him to get very, very easily. I think they should absolutely be held responsible for this. I mean, they bought him a gun Christmas and left it unlocked. Unlocked. And then, by the way, when he was caught at school, and that's what precipitated the whole meeting where they found the note, he was looking for ammunition for the gun at school on his phone. And his mother, when she found out, texted him saying, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught. Yes, just don't get caught. Don't get caught. You'll be fine. Now, again, this next part, I feel a little weird bringing political affiliation into this. Because generally it shouldn't matter. But in this case, I think it's relevant. And it should be noted that she's a big Trump supporter and literally wrote an open letter to the former president in 2016, when he was president, saying how I love my Second Amendment rights. Thank you for protecting the Second Amendment, which then allowed me to go and buy a gun for my son, who then used it to murder people in school. Now, she also, in this open letter, claimed that she was skipping car insurance payments to hire a tutor for her son because of Common Core. Yes, it's Common Core in schools. And what was Common Core now is probably being referred to as critical race theory now. Because, of course, she seethed in the letter about schools where kids come from illegal immigrant parents and don't care about learning. Jason Crumbley, of course, had seen this and said, my wife can be spot on. Sometimes. So I would like to say that our politics doesn't matter, but they do, unfortunately. Because here's the thing. Generally, they don't seem to believe in common sense gun measures, gun safety. Now, here's the thing. I think most gun owners actually do care. I know this is not a popular opinion on the left, but I think there are people who consider themselves and actually are fairly responsible gun owners. Yes, in fact, most gun owners are fine with things like locking up their guns, making sure that they're not easily accessible to their children. How many stories have we done where children will find a gun and either shoot themselves or someone else on accident? Much less situations like this. But it seems to happen more often with people who consider themselves far-right, very, very pro-Second Amendment people. These are not your normal average gun owners. Normal average gun owners are like, oh, yeah, of course, I like hunting. I believe in self-defense, I believe in the Second Amendment. But I'm not stupid about it. I lock my guns up, and I make sure to do things very safely. And we're totally fine with those people. Those people are not the problem. The problem, I believe, are the gun fetishists, the weirdos, okay, the Crumbleys. And so, yes, they bought it for their 15-year-old kid. They didn't lock it up. And more importantly, they didn't take any of the red flags seriously that this boy was shown. And mainly because maybe they weren't there. Apparently, they weren't the best parents either. In fact, according to members of their community, they were distant. They didn't really get to know other parents. Supposedly, a very, tight-knit community there. But hey, they didn't get to know people. They didn't want to be part of the community. And we also find out that James Crumbley was a bit of a deadbeat dad, owed thousands of dollars in child support for his other kid, and barely took care of this one, apparently. At least according to ex-neighbor Caleb Lemieux, who basically said that, yeah, they would just, the parents, James and Jennifer, would just leave Ethan home by himself all the time and go bar hopping. This is according to reports from the Detroit Free Press. So they'd always go out and just leave him alone. In fact, the former neighbor said, look, I worked with Jennifer back in 2012. We were friends. We were friendly towards each other and all that. But, like, you got to take care of your son. You got to take care of your son. And apparently, that's what broke that relationship, because she was concerned, wanted to call CPS, or I believe she might have called CPS. It's like, hey, you got to do something. You got to have to actually be parents. But apparently not. Lemieux reportedly spoke with the Crumbley family about leaving their son alone when they go out to drink at the bars, according to 2015 Facebook messages obtained by the news outlet. It's funny. Whenever there's a discussion, I should say, on right-wing media. Remember Bill O'Reilly? Every time there was violence, a black person, or even a discussion about crime and violence or shootings. Oh, gang shootings. We got gang shootings. Here we go. We got gang violence. The black people, inner city violence. Oh, where are the parents? Where are the families? Where are the fathers? Where are the fathers? Well, apparently, the fathers in this case are at the bar with the Trump-loving mom while their son draws murder cartoons and murder videos. I mean, you have failure after failure, codified failure. It's just, I'm sorry, I said codified. I meant to say something else. But it's cumulative. It's just stacked on failure, on failure, on failure, on failure of parents and the people around, but especially the parents, to see what's going on. And now, as a result of all of this, people are dead. And dead people don't come back. And so, yes, I know it's unprecedented to go and punish a parent in this case, charge a parent with involuntary manslaughter for the actions of their child. But in this case, it makes sense. How could you have missed all of that? You didn't miss it. You didn't miss it. Oh no. You saw this coming a mile away, ignored it. What else can I say? Fuck. All right. Oh, I used to work at a shooting range, guys. That's why I have like some insider knowledge. When I was in high school, I worked at a shooting club. These people would you accidentally point your gun even near another person, even if you're loading it, you pointed at someone else, your ass is grass. I'm serious. They took safety very, very seriously there. At least where I was at. And again, this is my anecdote, Andy. It doesn't apply to everything. But generally, a lot of the gun owners that I've gotten to know, not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them take this safety very, very seriously. You keep your hand away from that trigger unless you are ready, and you keep your gun unloaded unless you are ready to shoot. And, don't point at anything that you don't intend to shoot. And so that's why I'm saying, like, most gun owners, I think, are fairly rational people and are generally interested in safety. They don't want to see something like that happen. Accidentally shoot someone. Again, that doesn't mean that accidents won't happen. The fact is, if you have more guns, you're going to have more either accidents or more shootings. And that's just numbers, essentially. That is numbers. And facts. It's going to happen more often when you have more guns around. And so that's, again, the unfortunate fact. That doesn't mean that, of course, the majority of gun owners, I think, are irresponsible. No, there are a lot of responsible ones. But since we have so many guns and so many people with guns, there are also a lot of irresponsible people. And so there's that as well. Again, we're talking about just numbers. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway. There are ways that we can mitigate that, by the way. We can actually have, I don't know, common sense gun regulations that most people support. You know, we could do that if we didn't have Congress said the right wing that is completely owned by gun manufacturers. Anyway. There are more guns than people in the U.S. We do need a gun buyback program. But guns tear them down. Yeah, as long as it's like not mandatory. I'm totally fine with that. All right. That's it. That's all I got today. Let's raid into someone else here on Twitch. Again, I'm a little bit more pro-gun, I think, than the average lib. That's fine. As long as you're careful and as long as you accept the risks that you are more likely to either shoot yourself or a family member, a loved one, if you have a gun in the home. If you accept that you have that risk, then that's the risk that you're taking. Anyway, let's do. I haven't done a KF Logan raid in a while, so let's do that. Thank you. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry.
Give me a break.
Please clap. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.